That's what I'm talking about. How we sounded. We're sounding good. We're good. Sounding good on the mics. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 58 of Who Gives A Dram. As you can see, this is a little bit of a different setup here. We got some professional shit going on. And that's because I have a very special guest with me tonight. I should mention this is also the Christmas episode, so Merry Christmas everybody out there. I've got a very close friend of mine on the show. I've got a someone that we've been talking about this for a while.
We have
like getting you on here, and finally we got a good time for the both of us to set this up. The man behind what's been my intro and outro music for over a year now, since episode 1. I remember texting you saying, hey, can I use Pretty New Diamond and put it on YouTube, even if they're going to copyright me? And you said, yes, tell them you have Nick Bosse's permission. And that worked every single time. And now they don't even ask me anymore because I have 58 videos on there. So, ladies and gentlemen, I have Mr. Nick Bosse on the show this week. Nick, brother, how you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Man, I'm so used to just recording in my own little space by myself. This is fantastic.
Taking you out of your comfort zone.
A little bit. I mean, we've done some shit in this basement.
Oh yeah, there's been some parties down here.
There's been a lot of things happening, and now, now we've grown up.
That is true.
Now we've grown up. Now we drink whiskey.
Now we're responsible. We drink nicer stuff.
Yeah, I know.
Well, responsible may be a strong word.
Yeah, it's probably a bit strong. I mean, I don't know if I'm definitely not responsible. You are. I mean, you have to be. Yeah. With your life now. So, but man, what's going on? How's everything been?
Pretty good, man. I've just been working in the studio on my new EP. Mm-hmm. Hoping to have it out by the end of 2021. But I've been just working my butt off on it, and I'm a perfectionist, so there's a lot of times from like, nope, do it again, mm-hmm. And I have a hard time sometimes just being content with something. I just want to always strive to make the record sound as good as I possibly can. But it is coming out very soon. It's going to be a 5-song EP, all original music, and I'm just really excited to release it and get some more music out there on the internet and into people's hands, because it's going to be my first physical CD.
Yeah, and that's going to be huge because, I mean, you are it's fair, and we'll go kind of into your background here in a second, but you're basically a local legend in the area. I think that's even downplaying it. People, I feel like every single restaurant, bar, everyone who can have live music wants Nick Bosse, and I think that's just because you've been consistently grinding for 5+ years now.
Yeah, it's been about over 8 years now.
Yeah, exactly. Shit.
It's wild because it feels like it hasn't been that long, but people who have been seeing me since I started, they definitely know how long it's been, because I never used to have long hair or beard or nothing.
Dude, you look handsome as shit. I'm not gonna lie, man.
I look like Fat Thor and Aquaman.
Dude, you look like, you know what? Honestly, you look like Nick Bosse. You have your own look going. You have your own gritty, not pretty, stigma going. That's awesome. And for those people who don't know, there's a lot of people listening right now that maybe don't know Nick. Me and Nick have known each other a long time.
And you have the same birthday as my dad.
I do, September 27th. That's right. Shout out Mr. Bosse.
Yeah.
My cousin Ryan moved in with you years ago, and obviously Ryan is one of my best friends. He's my cousin and everything. And when he asked me to come over, he's like, hey, come check out my new spot. I don't think we had ever met before. Maybe once briefly or twice briefly, but that when did he move in? Do you know what year it was?
Honestly, I can't remember. We were probably 21.
I wasn't 21 yet. I know that.
No, you weren't.
No.
But I think we had all just turned either 20 or 21. And actually, he slept right here.
Where we're recording.
Right here where we're recording. So shout out to Ryan's former dungeon down here.
Now it's a beautiful studio.
I still got the same ugly walls, but
whatever.
I kind of like them now.
It's a basement, But that was when we met, you and I, and
we discovered something very interesting.
Yeah, do you want to tell that story?
I guess, yeah, I'll tell it. You came inside, and I was just kind of, happy to meet you and whatnot. And you looked down and you were just like, dude, that's my drum set. And I just remember going, what? And then we just kind of found out that I had gotten that drum kit. My dad had a friend that he had wanted to, that was trying to sell a drum kit, and it just turned out to be your dad.
Yep.
And he sold it to my dad, and I gave my dad the money to go pick it up. He brought it home, and I had a nice double bass Ludwig set down here for my band to use.
Burnt
but it was
alcohol
just so
was the
crazy.
color.
Yeah, burnt alcohol.
Which is kind of funny. This being a whiskey podcast, burnt alcohol drum set. That's how we got our, that's kind of how we found out who each other were.
Yeah.
I still remember that, and I remember, and I've told you this story so many times, I remember pissing all over that snare drum, sleepwalking over when I was a kid, and I remember it, because it woke up Kale, and he thought I was playing the snare drum, and it was just literally me peeing on the snare drum. So I'm sure you've changed the head since.
Oh, yeah, the heads have been changed and fully disinfected since then.
Hey, that gave the snare a bit of character, if you ask me.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of character.
A little character and a little rust on all the metal parts. Now we know, though, why there's surface rust.
That was because of me. I couldn't hold it. So for the people listening, Nick, obviously you've been doing my my music. Well, I've been using your music for my podcast. So a lot of people know Nick Bosse from. This is gonna sound ignorant. I don't mean it this way, but a lot of people know Nick Bosse from the Who Gives a Dram. That's the song that leads into Who Gives a Dram, or that's the ending song. You're
the first podcast that's reached out and asked permission to use this song. Of course,
fuck
we're
yeah,
friends.
dude.
So
that was when I first came up with Who Gives a Dram. I was like, I'm using Nick's music, and because a lot of whiskey podcasts have nice guitar riff intros, and I was like, Pretty New Diamond already has a great intro. I'll just use that. And then What Happened to Country came out last January, right? And I was like,
January 2nd.
I remember it was right around the New Year, and I was like, this is even better of a guitar riff, I think. So I'm gonna use this now, and you were always very generous and let me use it. Yeah. But for the people that don't know, why don't you go into a little bit of who you are and how you started music? That's a loaded question, I know that, and I will pour some whiskey while you answer.
What are we starting with here?
We're going to do, we got 3 fucking cameras set up. We're going to do some Angels Envy Rye. You didn't even know you had this, and I texted you, yesterday or today, and I was like, dude, that's an $85 bottle of whiskey.
I know. We actually just opened it on Saturday, last time I was in the recording studio, because we needed some liquid courage for some of the guys that were singing the rowdy bar crowd in the back of my new song, All Out of Pills. And definitely not something you normally have for Hair of the Dog, but 10:30 a.m. this past Saturday, me and all the kind gentlemen that came out to help me sing on the record were drinking this at 10:30.
This is a great whiskey to have. This is, like I said, an $85 bottle. I've actually never had this, so we're going to get my live reaction on it. It's 50%, so 100. It's 100 proof. It's rye whiskey. It's finished in rum casks, and I've had
a really sweet, aftertaste. It leaves you with have that stifling. I don't know. I don't drink a whole lot, but when I do, this stuff is definitely gonna.
Yeah, this is a solid. I mean, this is known in the whiskey community as a very solid rye whiskey. I've actually had another There's not many companies that do rye whiskey finished in rum cask. What I think is the second most prominent company. They're called Rye 3. I've actually had them on the podcast. I've had the founder, owner, and the master blender on the show. Shout out to Karthik and Matt. And I'm going to assume this is very compatible with this. So I'm excited to have this, but why don't you go into, what started your love for music? How'd you get into this game?
Oh, well, I mean, I've been singing since I was old enough to talk, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather always had me singing, kids songs, Camptown races and working on the railroad and, stuff like that, old cowboy songs. Yeah. And, but I really started getting into music as far as just being more than just somebody who sings along in the shower or something when I was, in my younger teenage years. I think I was about 12 or 13. I started playing guitar. I had guitars before, but it was more just you get a guitar and you're like, yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna start a rock band.
Yep.
And we're gonna be like School of Rock with Jack Black. Shout out to my lookalike. That's what
I was gonna
everybody's been
say,
telling me lately. Is
you
my
do
hair's
look like-
gotten longer. They're like, you look like Jack Black, and I'm like, you know, I mean, it could be worse.
Yeah, I would say thank you.
I mean, I think Jack Black's awesome.
I think he's one of the funniest people, on the planet, and also a very talented musician.
He
Tenacious
is.
D.
Yeah,
is
he's a
fucking
very
awesome.
good singer.
Yeah.
He jokes around with it, but like when he's being serious, like he's actually a pretty good singer.
Yeah, I agree.
But no, I just I took it more seriously and I played in a church band, and I played in doing like worship team stuff, and then I played just at home all the time, and eventually, when I was in school, I was just playing for my friends around campfires, and that's kind of where I started getting a little more confidence in it, because people were telling me, oh yeah, you sound really good, and I'd learn their favorite songs just to make them happy for the night or whatever. A friend, oh man, you played that song, and it was just cool to get that reaction out of people. Obviously it's when you perform, you definitely get a reaction out of people and stuff. And my thing is, my favorites is when I play a lot of old country songs and covers and stuff that sounds like old country. And people come up to me all the time and they're like, man, I can't believe you. How old are you? How do you know that song?
Yeah.
It's old people that are as old as my grandparents, if not older, and they're like, man, I can't believe you know these songs. And they tell me, man, you brought me back because I haven't heard this song in so long. And that was one of the things that started really getting me into playing like a lot of the older country. I think I always played kind of like more alternative country, and I just played the same songs that everybody played on acoustic guitar. My dad kind of raised me on a lot of like rock, like a lot of Led Zeppelin and AC/DC and stuff, but we'd also he would have me listen to like Hank Jr. And some more like that, slightly more outlaw vibe. My grandfather raised me on Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard, and that's the damn truth.
Yeah.
Like, Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard is what my Pepe always had me listening to. But like a lot of different family members, like on my mom's side, my grandmother always listens to tons of Randy Travis, Now and Jackson. My first country show was Now and Jackson show. Incredible.
Legend.
Just legend. My first concert, though, was Judas Priest.
I remember you saying that.
Judas Priest and Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, that's because your dad was a big Judas Priest fan, wasn't he?
My dad was more of a Heaven and Hell. He loved Dio, Ronnie James Dio, and he loved him. It was just a fun show to go to. We went and saw him at Mohegan, and it was awesome. That was my first concert.
How
was
old were
just
you?
like gargoyles spewing flames. I think I was 14 or 15.
Perfect age.
Oh gosh, they had like crypt doors on the stage, like blew off and flames coming out, and it was dope. I can't remember which band did it, but somebody came out on a motorcycle, like driving through like a graveyard scene with gargoyles and dry ice,
That's so
smoke
awesome.
and stuff. And then of course you see every show after that, you're like, oh, this sucks. They're not using gargoyles and flames.
You got to do that at your next live performance.
Oh yeah, totally.
At the
Get
wherever
some
Mystic
lasers.
Pizza 2.
I'll get some lasers and shit. Yeah, no, but I had a lot of influence with country though.
Yep.
And that's kind of shaped who I am as a musician and where I'm from. I live in a more rural area here in North Stonington, Connecticut, and it's I love my town. Got more cows and people in this town.
Sure do.
And I just love the way life is here. And I started writing, I just feel like country kind of just fit me.
It does, yeah.
I like a lot of different music. I listen to a lot of different things.
Yep.
I feel like I'm a very well-rounded listener. And, I mean, I listen to everything from classic rock to, Bach. And then I'm listening to...
You listen to NWA.
I listen to everything.
Some gangster rap.
I listen to some gangster rap. I listen to... I listen to, rock and metal and it's just, I feel like to be a student of music, you have to be able to appreciate all forms of music. There's certain stuff that I'm not a huge fan of, but like, I just listen, but I just try to be, and when people send me stuff that they really want me to listen to, I actually take the time to like listen to it from the mindset of, okay, this isn't maybe something I would listen to, but maybe I can see what they're talking about.
You can appreciate
when they say
it.
they appreciate this song.
Because you know what you're talking about. You know what you're listening for. It's kind of like with someone who's experienced with drinking whiskey. Maybe not so much myself. I still consider myself a novice, but people who do this professionally, who they can take a whiskey and it might not be the best whiskey, but they can they can pull flavors, whether it's on the nose, on the palate, or on the finish, that they can appreciate. And maybe with the Angels Envy Rye here, it's the heavy molasses note, pulled from the rum barrels. Maybe it's a fruity note, or a floral note, or a nice like sugary wood that's extracted from the wood sugars when it's resting in the barrel for a certain amount of time. People can appreciate that. I feel like with music, just to kind of connect the two, is the same thing. You can maybe listen to a let's just give a bad example, maybe like a new age pop country, and maybe most of it sucks in your eyes, because I know you're not a fan of new age country. We've talked about this plenty of times, but maybe there's something in there. Maybe there's a harmony in there. Maybe there's a certain bridge, or maybe there's a snare beat in the back, or something that's like, that's actually right there is pretty good. But so and plus, not only are you a well-rounded listener, you're a well-rounded performer as well. You don't just perform country.
Yeah, I definitely sang stuff that's outside a little bit, more rocky or
Clancy Brothers.
Yeah, I've been known to dabble in
the Irish music.
Yeah, Irish music. Yeah, it's just fun. I'm only like, I think, of course, real Irish people would be like, you're not Irish, you're American. Americans always say I'm this percentage. I'm a 16th or an 8th Irish. I don't know. I can't remember exactly. I'm mostly French Canadian, but
hey,
I'm American first and foremost. God damn it,
America.
America.
So you start your music journey with, you mentioned you're playing with the church group. You mentioned you're dabbling because I'm assuming you kind of realize that, I have a talent with this stuff. And even if you don't realize that, maybe you have a passion for it. When did you realize that you could actually do this?
When I started playing gigs by myself, I played with a couple little groups of people that we would get together and jam. I had a band. We were playing here and there, but we didn't really have real gigs. We just do open mic nights.
Yeah.
When I went out on my own and just did some solo shows, and it was, packed crowd in, a bar or something, and I could tell that every single person in there, I knew them, and they were there to
What was your first venue? Me. Was it Mystic Pizza 2?
My first venue, well, the first place I ever played at gave me a paycheck was Mystic Pizza 2. Yeah.
Shout out Mystic Pizza 2. Yeah, for real.
But I just would play restaurants and bars and stuff. But when I would play some honky tonk bar, I used to play Two Brothers in Voluntown.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Two Brothers. I miss you, baby.
I know, that was lots of.
I miss that bar.
Oh man,
that was a lot of fun. I used to have so much fun playing there because it was just such a. I remember the first time I went in there, I knew I was going to be playing there the next day, and I had never been in there. So I went down with a buddy of mine. We walk in, and there's 4 farmers sitting at the bar at maybe 5:30 in the evening on a Thursday night or Wednesday night. It wasn't a Friday or Saturday. And there's 4 people sitting in there, and Smokey and the Bandit is playing on every single TV in there. And there's pool tables lit up, and there's a jukebox playing I think it was Travis Tritt in the corner. I walked in, I was like,
"This is your spot.
This is where I belong." I played quite a few shows there, and just great shows, great crowds, tons of people, and everybody was in a good mood. We had our share of crazy times with some people getting a little too wild, but
yep, sure did. Yeah, I remember going to see you a few times at Two Brothers, because that shut down 3 years ago now.
Yep.
Yeah, so I was barely 21 when that place was open, but even when I wasn't 21, I was still going in there to see you. And
come in to see you were behaving yourself. You were drinking soda and water.
Yeah, but the cameras are on. Yeah, I was drinking soda and water. You're right.
Totally.
You're right. So you start playing. I play at these. You go out on your own, right? So Nick Bosse's performing on his own. You're playing at, places A, B, and C. Is there something that clicked where you were, because I remember talking to you before, you knew a few songs on the guitar, and I remember when we talked before, you told me you knew a few songs on the guitar, but I think maybe Mystic Pizza 2 asked you to do 3 hours or something like that.
Yeah, well, I knew some songs, and then they told me well, if you're gonna play here, you gotta have at least 3 hours worth of music, because that's what we do is 3-hour sets. And I was like, shit, I don't know that many songs. And And then I got like, because I try to be a very organized person with my music. So then I was like, okay, I was trying to break it down by like how many minutes it takes me to play like the average song, and then like try to fill up the full 3 hours with. So a lot of times people they take time in between songs, tuning, whatever, talking to people. Just I was like blowing through songs. Like my first gig, I think I played like in 3 hours I played something like 60 something songs. Just boom 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 boom, just rattling them off. And I remember my dad just going, dude, slow down.
Yeah.
But I was nervous. I was just trying to I was nervous about it. And I still like I can play in front of anybody. It does not bother me.
Yeah.
But talking, that's a whole different ball game with that. I can't think of what to say. Sometimes that's why it's nice. When I play with my band, because some of the guys in my band have really cool personalities, and they're not afraid to joke around, and they pull it out of me more, so it makes me more comfortable.
Yeah, you can play along.
And
you can play along with what they're saying, and it makes it. I understand that hosting a podcast by myself, and I'm doing episodes by myself. Sometimes, like I'm talking, I'm like, what am I gonna say next? And it's tough. I understand what you mean by that. 100%, it gets tough. Do you enjoy? Well, first, if you had to guess how many gigs you've played, how many would you say?
In my life?
In your life?
Oh, dude, I don't know.
Over or under 1,000?
Probably over.
Yeah.
It's over. Maybe a little bit less than 1,000. I don't even know, man. Because I know I've played more than 100 gigs a year for the past I don't know how many years.
Long time.
Just.
Yeah, and especially now, it seems like you've ramped up.
Well, I've ramped up, but I've mostly been just trying to get out of being just a barroom singer that sits in the corner and plays, some classics that everybody's going to sing along to.
Yeah.
To a original artist that's taken seriously for the art that I'm, bringing forward in the songs that I write.
Yeah.
I didn't really write my own songs until it's probably about like 2.5, 3 years ago. I started like really I had written a couple songs in the past, but like I took it really seriously.
Yeah.
And it was pretty much started with Pretty New Diamond, and it was just like a steamroll after that. Just tons and tons of songs.
I remember you performing Pretty New Diamond upstairs in the living room. I came over with Ryan on my birthday, and you were still in the infancy stage. You had the chorus, and you had the the melody, and you had the music done. It was still in its infancy, and then that came out. So I guess we should just go along that path now. You start writing your own original music. At this point, I think it's safe to say people know you, Nick Bosse, local country singer, local country star, maybe.
I wouldn't say that.
I would. Pretty New Diamond comes out, which I don't remember what episodes I used it for on the show, but it was at least the first like 10 or maybe dozen episodes. Where does the inspiration for you come from when you're writing your own music as a country singer who, I would say it's safe to say you're still on the grind. I mean, you're still you have a name, but you are still very much so trying to grow your brand as much as possible.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I appreciate the kind words, but in reality, I'm just, I'm just a singer-songwriter. There's so many out there that are doing the same thing that I do.
Yeah, but they're not Nick Bosse. I can say that. Maybe you can't. I can say that they're not Nick Bosse. Anyway.
I just I struggled for a long time because I liked playing music out, and I just never liked my voice. And then it took me a while to realize that just like, okay, well, even if I don't like my voice, clearly some other people do. So, maybe that is just the sign that I need to just go forward and just keep playing music. And then in the past 2 years, I went from, just playing mostly just small little solo gigs and just making money on the side and just, having fun and just playing venues to now I'm playing like bigger venues and I'm playing with a band that's, takes things seriously. And I got, people that are pushing me to, play larger venues and get more music out there. And then getting my original song, I had the first song I put out, Pretty New Diamond, as a single. That was on the online, I should say, on online distributors for about a year. And I had I had 115 or 120 followers, and I was happy about that. I felt proud of that. And then I probably had just shy of 1,000 streams on Spotify, and I was like, this is
huge.
This is the tit. I was happy about that.
Hell yeah.
Then this year I released What Happened to Country on January 2nd, and I don't know, it's just kind of taken off, and people really like the song. And I went from, like I said, 120 monthly listeners, and now we're almost a year, because it'll be a year on January 2nd that I released What Happened to Country, and I have 335,000 streams. I went from 120 monthly listeners, I got 22,000.
Yeah.
Which in the grand scheme of things, that's not huge, but I'm very much appreciative for. I had no idea or I just didn't expect it to just go like that in a year after seeing what happened on the first year. Yeah. But obviously it's a different song and people really seem to like it. I've had a lot of people tell me that they really like. Actually, it's funny. I sang it at one place not too long ago. And some guy at the end of the show was like, man, I really loved your cover of What Happened to Country. I was like, well, it's not a cover. I said, it's my song. He's like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, no, that's my song. And he's like, no, I've heard that on Spotify. That's not your song. I'm like, yeah, I'm on Spotify.
Yeah.
He's like, and you were around here? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, no. I was like, dude, I said, I'll go home right now and I will get my copyright of that song and I'll bring it to you to show you, prove you if I have to. Because you're not going to sit here and tell me that I covered my own song. And he was like, no, I believe you. But it was just kind of cool that it was that, some guy was like, no, you totally didn't. That's Nick. That's somebody else. And I was like, nah, it's me, dude.
That's crazy to think about. Like, dude, that's a great cover of that song. No, dude,
that's my song, man.
Yeah, no, that's insane. And that's, that's a significant jump. But yeah. I mean, I know, I understand, it's not huge millions and millions and millions of numbers, but from that jump to 100, say 20 to 22,000, and from however just under 1,000 streams to 350,000 plus, that's huge, and that's just with one song too. So, I would say, by far, What Happened to Country is your most recent single. It's your most successful single. That's a bit different than Pretty New Diamond. I think there's more, and correct me if I'm wrong, there's a bit more layers to it in terms of the actual the melody and the instruments. It sounds like there might be a bit more to it rather than just you and your guitar.
Yeah, well, when I released Pretty New Diamond, it was just me and my guitar, and then I released What Happened to Country. It was me and my guitar, and then my friend Brian playing pedal steel.
Right.
And that was it. It was just a three.
Just that addition of the pedal steel makes it. That's a great addition. That's.
It kept it simple, and I'm going to be re-releasing that song on my EP that's coming out very soon, and it's going to be kind of epic. It's going to have my whole band backing me on it. And
yeah, I've heard it live plenty of times. My favorite song you do live is What Happened to Country, with the whole band. I remember listening to that at the when you're at the Rathskeller sometime this summer, and we talked about that, how people will pay money just to see that. But with What Happened to Country, kind of explain what happened with that process in terms of getting that written, recorded. How did that go?
Well, it's kind of a story about why I wrote it, or when I wrote it, rather. I was in Nashville with a friend of mine. We went down for fun, and I got to sing with some friends of mine at a bar down in Nashville, just on the outskirts. And we were out partying at a bar, and I just kept hearing all these pop songs, not even pop country, but old 80s pop songs and stuff. And I was like waiting to hear one country song and just didn't hear any country. And it was like that a lot of the places I went to. You know, they'd play here and there. You get lucky and you hear like a 90s country song in maybe one place. There was a few. I did end up finding like one or two places that still played, you know, more traditional country and outlaw kind of stuff.
Yep.
But so I'm at this bar, and I keep hearing this stuff, and I'm drunk and I'm not happy. So I kind of stumble out of there. I told my buddy I'd meet him back at the hotel, and I walked down the street, and I ended up on the steps of the Ryman Auditorium at about 2:00 in the morning. And I'm just looking at the building where, you know, all my heroes have been, you know, they sang in the circle. And, and it was, you know, great for all of like 15 seconds before a guard came and like kicked me off the steps. I wasn't even like in their area. I was like on the sidewalk, basically, just like one step off the sidewalk, and the guy was giving me crap for it. I was like, all right, shoved me off, and I took an Uber back to my hotel. And then when I went in the hotel, I could strike up a conversation with anybody, and I just saw the nighttime clerk working behind the counter there, and we just got talking a little bit, and I found out he was a veteran, and found out that he had been wounded, and I went back to my hotel room real quick to grab my guitar because I told him I wanted to play a song for him, and I had written a song for vets, and I played him the song, and he just was crying, and I was thinking, wow, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't want to make this poor guy cry, and like, but in my head, I was like, shit, you know, this guy, I was able just to make, you know, and not that my intention was to make him cry, but, you know, the fact the emotion was there behind something that I wrote, and it wasn't like, you know, some cover or something I wrote, and it stirred an emotion in him that made him feel that. And then his boss came over, I believe it was his boss came over, and she's like, what do you guys do? We're sitting in the Continental breakfast area doing this at like 3:00 in the morning, and his boss comes over, and she's like, what are you guys doing? You're not supposed to be over here, whatever. And so I was like, hey, why don't you just sit down for a minute? We're just sitting here talking, and there's nobody in there, nobody's walking in and out. I'm the only person there. And so she comes over and sits down, and I believe she had told me it was the anniversary of her sister passing away, and she was like struggling. She was helping out with the care of her niece, like, you know, having her live with her on certain days and taking care of her. And I was like, wow, this woman's hurting. So I just asked her if I could talk with her, you know. She'd sit down and chat with us, and we talked for a bit, and I don't know why, I just decided I wanted to sing Amazing Grace, and it was just in my heart to sing it. So I sang it for her, and then she starts crying, and then he starts crying again, and now I start crying. So I was like, man, this is a weird night. But I just, you know, I gave them both hugs, and I was like, you know, I hope you guys heal, and, you know, I hope, and I'm not really a religious person, but I put my hands on both of them, and we prayed together, and I just asked God to heal them. And I went back to my hotel room, and it was like 4:00 in the morning at this point. And I called my dad up. I'm like, yeah, Dad, he thinks I'm probably like in jail or something in Nashville. I'm like, Dad, I just sang for these two people in this hotel lobby, and they were so upset, but like, you know, it was just so much better when it was all done, and everybody was feeling better, and, you know, we got some stuff off our chests, and everybody was feeling better. And he was like, you called me at 4 a.m. to tell me that? But he was like, no, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then I came home, and on the way home, I have this little tattoo here. And this is George Jones. You know, I have George Jones quote, says, who's going to fill their shoes? And I was driving home, and me and my friend were switching off driving the rental car. And when I was driving back, I just kept like looking at that, who's going to fill their shoes? That's that song. And it just got me to thinking, you know, about like, I can't say I've heard anybody, you know, feel an emotion from one of these, you know, pop country click track, you know, what we call them, the stomp clap, you know, and everything is just an endorsement from some company and some truck and some, you know, girls bikini tops and the same. It's like, I don't know, I'm just not one of the, I'm not really a bro country guy.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up listening to Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
You know, the Outlaws and the guys that were like, you know what, we're going to do what we want to do, and we don't really care what Nashville thinks or what anybody thinks. We're just going to have fun with it. And people just naturally felt led to listen to them because they were badasses. And those are my heroes, and those are the guys that I don't aspire to be like them, but I just love the attitude of just, you know what, I'm just going to do what I want to do, and if you like that, it's great. You know, they got some great artists out there that are doing that. You got Cody Jinks, just tearing it up, man. I mean, he's doing so well for just being independent, and you got guys like Sturgill Simpson and Tyler Childers.
Yep.
All in that country realm. I mean, even in the bluegrass realm.
I was going to say, Childers a lot of bluegrass,
there's a lot of the Appalachian stuff. And it's just, it's like down home. It's folk. They call it Americana or folk. Oh, it is. It's music, and it's real.
Dude, it's.
I sometimes even putting like a country label or whatever on it. I'm just trying to be me, and I'm just trying to write stuff about life.
Totally get that.
From my perspective.
It's so funny. It's like music can draw an emotion in you that you didn't even know you had. For example, I love Tyler Childers, and I've listened to him. I think he was in my top 5 Spotify Artists of the Year with the Wrapped. And this is completely off topic. Well, not off topic, but I wasn't even planning on telling this story. I had to go. So we had one of our family dogs just randomly pass away.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was tough, but I appreciate that. A few days after Thanksgiving, that Friday, I go to we had her cremated, and I went to pick her up from the animal hospital in Warwick. And I told my mom I'd go. She was too sad, and she didn't want to do it. So I said I'll do it after work. And I go pick her up. They present her in like this nice box. These are ashes, and there's a nice poem in there and everything. And it gets me emotional. And I'm driving home, and I start my truck, and I turn on the Spotify when I get onto the highway. And the first song that came on, and I was thinking about this earlier. This song is Tyler Childers' "Follow You to Virgie," about his grandmother passing away, and I thought to myself, this is just so fitting for what I feel right now, and it doesn't exactly correlate exactly to my situation, but I understand what he's saying. And it was a nice moment. It made me happy, it made me sad, it made me grateful to have this dog. And not to get off into a whole tangent about, getting all emotional.
I love dogs. I totally hear you.
It just made me feel some emotion. It made me feel a lot of emotions at one time. And you singing Amazing Grace for these, the hotel clerk and all these people. There's just something about music, and someone who sings music passionately there's something about that just, it hits different. So, like, do you consider that? Like, do you think about that when you're not performing your own songs, but you're covering? Do you take that into consideration of, like, it's someone else's work. Obviously, you are performing it, and you're performing it very well. But do you try to think of, like, hey, I want to try to, like, whether it's, like, honor Johnny Cash with singing Folsom Prison Blues or something like that?
Well, I mean, I guess Jamie Johnson recently said it best. He's like, all these guys are dead. Who's going to sing their songs if it's not us?
That's very true.
Their songs are incredible. Their songs, these songs that all these country heroes, and not even country, just any fallen, person that's not with us anymore, was a great songwriter. Like, if we're not singing their songs, then what? It's over.
You got to sing the next time you're up. Speaking about artists that aren't here with us anymore, you should do a country version of X Gon' Give It to You for DMX. Rest in peace, DMX.
That'd be an interesting version.
I guarantee you'd kill it though. You come up with something, it'd be beautiful.
We'll do like a thrash grass cover.
Thrash grass.
Just heavy banjo.
Is that an actual like genre? Thrash grass?
Oh yeah.
Really?
It's like metal grass.
Metal bluegrass.
Metal bluegrass.
That's intense.
Just like Yeah, it is intense. There's some good bands. I'll send you some links.
Yeah, you're gonna. I'll listen to them.
You want to try this?
Yeah, I've actually been sipping it. I'm
You have
glad you asked because I've been sniffing it a little bit. I did give it a little tasty poo. So, I'm curious, what do you smell on it? If you had to pick one note that you're getting the most of, what do you think?
Smell?
Of a smell, yeah. Always start off with this. At least I always start off with the smell, then I translate into the palate. A lot of times when I smell whiskey as well, and this is what a lot of like professionals recommend, is you leave your mouth open a little bit and let it like aerate throughout your entire system. It might help you pick up some more notes, but I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I honestly, the first thing that really comes to mind with me is just, this is clearly it's 100 proof. It's, it's got a little kick to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't give you that, like, paint thinner kind of...
yeah, that's a good point.
Like, when you smell it, you don't immediately get burning nostrils. And we both know this is strong. I mean, you tried it already, and I've been drinking it for a couple of days now.
Yeah.
But it's almost, there's some deception there. Because you almost think it's going to be, like, easy on you just from the smell, because the smell doesn't immediately burn. I smell like a sweetness to it.
Yep.
There's definitely a sweetness to it when you first. There's like a sweetness, almost like a. I'd say almost like a candy.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point.
Like a non like fruit flavored candy, but something like I do smell kind of like a molasses. It smells like molasses cookies. I used to eat those a lot when I was a kid. I used to love them.
And that's
mom would make those.
That's a perfect example. This doesn't smell. It doesn't have that alcohol, like ethanol smell, because it's finished, which means it's aged. I don't think there's an age statement on this. But once the whiskey is aged, they'll finish it. A lot of whiskeys nowadays are finished in other barrels or other casks. This is aged in rum casks. So I don't know, and I didn't, like I said, I've never had Angels Envy Rye before, so this is my first time having it. I don't think it says it's a 95% rye mash bill. It doesn't say how long it's aged for in those rum casks. I would assume at least probably 6 months. But that's that molasses. Rum is very, tropical, maybe some coconut, a little bit of molasses. Mm-hmm. That's the first note that I get right off the bat. I think there's a backwards note of a little bit of that rye spice. Mm-hmm. So like a peppercorn, a pepper, like a baking spice. But overall, it's sugar. Yeah. I get almost like sugar wafer, like a molasses cookie.
Like a cookie that pairs well with coffee. Not too sweet. Yeah. But you can tell that it's sweet.
Yeah, that's a great nose. Let's take a sip of it. All so, right. Cheers, brother. And on that, yeah. Can you still get the molasses on it?
Oh yeah. I also notice, it definitely has a good. I don't know if this is an actual term or not, but a good throat feel.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't it's not too harsh. Once it hits like the bottom of my esophagus, my whole stomach warms up.
Yeah, it's
definitely strong. But like, I've definitely tried my fair share of whiskeys that, immediately it's like you just got stabbed in the back of the throat.
Yep.
You're sitting there just trying to struggle with it.
Trying to survive.
That's why when I first tried this, I was like, oh, that's dangerous. I like it. That's dangerous. It's dangerous when you like it.
Exactly.
Because it's not cheap.
And again, up for 100 proof, 50% alcohol by volume, it doesn't drink like that. I think the molasses is definitely there. That sugary note is definitely there. I get a lot more spice on the palate on this, so it's a lot spicier. Mm-hmm. The spice that I get is rye. It's 95% rye in its mash bill, meaning that I would assume the other 5% is probably corn. Yep. I'm sorry, probably malted barley, because it's a rye whiskey. But on the back, and I agree with that, with it doesn't stab you in the throat.
Yeah. it's not so harsh. That's why I'm saying it's for 100 proof. I've had 100 proof before. For other things, and usually it's almost painful.
And
I don't drink a whole lot, to be honest with you, but I do like whiskey.
Yeah.
And I do like having a drink now and then, and this is definitely going to be my go-to from now on, because thankfully I'm not going through a couple bottles a month or something, because I can't afford to do that with this stuff. But
listen, you're a huge country star. This is, like I said, this is $85 a bottle. You got it. You could. I don't know if this would be a daily sipper for me.
It almost smells, and this is going to sound kind of silly, but it almost smells like it's got that like candle shop vibe, like a lot of sweet, like vanilla.
Yeah, like a vanilla candle.
Like a vanilla
Yankee candle, vanilla candle. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my girlfriend's got tons of those, and I smell them a lot. She's got a lot of the Yankee candle. I take her to the candle shop. I take her shopping and stuff, and she sees that. She gets like a lot of like stuff that you would smell in a kitchen. It's the baking stuff. So she likes the sugar cookie smells and the vanilla stuff, but I can definitely smell vanilla in there.
That's a great, and there's never a dumb comment when you're.
Well, I feel I'm here on your podcast, and I'm probably like the least knowledgeable person when it comes to any of this stuff. But I just like to have a drink, and I'm just appreciative that you had me on here.
Yeah, no problem. It's a whiskey is more than just an alcohol. A lot of the times, like whiskey, like something like this, it brings people together, which is why I love it. You can sit down with any type, whether it's good old faithful Jack Daniel No. 7, Angels Envy Rye, an Isla like Ardbeg Scotch, or your Pappy Van Winkle, a $2,000 bottle. It's about the people that you enjoy it with. And I'm glad that we're able to sit down here, drink a little bit of whiskey, a good whiskey, by the way. This is your bottle too. I didn't bring this is your bottle.
Shout out to my buddy Van for giving me this bottle as a Christmas present, an early Christmas present. It's definitely gone to good use so far.
Yep.
Thanks for that, Van. We appreciate it.
There it is. Looking into our 3 cameras here.
I'm trying to figure out which one I'm supposed to look into.
Yeah, we'll cut it after. But yeah, man, I don't even know how long it's been. I feel like it's been pretty long, but I wanted to ask you quickly. You mentioned you have an EP coming out. You have a record coming out. It's not out yet, but it's going to be out soon.
Yep.
Talk a little bit more about that, and then what to expect maybe in the year 2022 from Nick Bosse.
So I have a 5-song EP coming out, 5 original songs, like I said before. It's going to be my first physical CD. I've only come out with 2 singles in the past, so I'm really excited to have like a physical CD for sale.
Yep.
And to just honestly get out to people. I want my music spread out as far as I can, and then anything I get back from some of my CDs, I'm just going to put right back into another record.
There you go.
I already want to do another record in 2022. I've got 12 songs ready to go and ready to be recorded. 12 original songs, no covers, ready to be recorded, and I want to get them out. So
yeah, like I said, I've heard a few songs that haven't been released yet. I won't mention them, just but definitely some. I feel like some big things coming this year for you. I feel like this year, 2020 and 2021, I feel like with COVID, I feel like you really took advantage of COVID with really honing in on, with getting, I would assume you were working on what happened in the country for a good portion of that. And then live gigs kind of dampened a bit for a good portion there, but coming back to that at the end of 2020 and then 2021, me personally, I feel like you've almost like catapulted into a different realm that you were in even in like 2019, which was still like, which is crazy to think about considering how well you were doing in 2019. I just feel like what to come next once this EP drops, which everyone listening will know when it drops, 'cause I'll post about it. That's gonna be like the next step for you in your evolution as a musician.
Yeah, the thing that's kind of separated me from going to the next level is just having a CD out and having a physical thing I could say, here, this is my work. This is what I have to show you.
Yeah.
Listen to this.
Yeah.
I have it online. But there's a lot of people that follow me that aren't really using online streaming services to listen to music. I have a lot of older folks that, I say older folks, so older than me, that just want to listen to me not on an online way. So having a physical CD out is going to really exponentially help me. And like I said, I only want to just keep recording more. So whatever if I try to sell my CDs or whatever, I'm just going to try to record as soon as I can get back in the studio. I have 12 songs are written. They're ready to go. I just gotta put them down, lay them down. So
you lay them down quick too. You get them out there.
They come to me. And I just I don't know. For every good song that I'll play out, there was 3 songs that didn't make the cut.
But even those songs, I bet you those songs are probably really good as well. Because you got to set, as a musician, I do the same thing as a podcaster. You got to set yourself expectations higher. Like you had mentioned, I'm surprised people like the sound of my voice, but people do. I'm surprised people listen to this freaking podcast, but people do. It's like you never know what's gonna stick until you just throw something at the wall, and if it sticks, it sticks. And I think that, I would say 100% of the stuff that you've done has stuck because you're at where you're at.
Yep.
But anyways, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. This was fun. Why don't you tell the people kind of where they can find you, on social media and everything?
Yeah, honestly, I have links to all my social media and everything and all my streaming services that I'm working with on my website. It's nickbosse.com. It's nickbosse.com. And you can find out where I'm playing. You can listen to my original music online. You can see links to YouTube videos. I've got, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, iTunes, and everything right in one spot. Trying to make everything streamlined and convenient in one spot. I recently updated my website. So yeah, I'm excited to get more traffic on those platforms as well.
Yep, everything, all social media for Nick and all his website and everything is going to be linked below in the show notes. I usually have What Happened in the Country play us out. Would you like to play us out live?
Sure.
While I know you got to set up your stuff.
Yeah. It doesn't take me that long.
I will say quickly, everybody, thank you for listening to another episode of Who Gives a Dram. Whiskey with Kin number 6, forgot to mention that. Besides you and Kale and Seth have been the only 2 guests of Whiskey with Kin on Who Gives a Dram. So you're the 3rd one. And, man, I appreciate you very much. People, obviously you can support the show, subscribe on all platforms, Who Gives a Dram on all social medias. And I usually say at this point, I'm going to have my brother Nick Bosse play me out. I got you here live. So let's get to it, you guys. Always remember, whiskey is the water of life, so let's start living. I present to you Nick Bosse, What Happened in the Country.
Tired from paying my bills. I'm staring at a bottle, I'm aiming to kill. The weeks pass on by and the seasons to change, and I'm playing my song, trying to make me a name. People say as they walk out the bar, the kid's going places, maybe even a star. They don't play country down in Nashville today, just the same chord progression, nothing to say. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up, fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws and singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. Auto-tune now down on Music Row, 'cause true country died there a long time ago. No, they don't play Waylon on the boulevard, but they'll do anything to be rock stars. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. Who's gonna step up, fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. I do believe there is hope for us yet, 'cause there's millions of people who cannot forget the way Johnny Cash brought a tear to their eyes, or how Marty Robbins painted Texas skies. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up, fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. A grown man cry brings a tear to your eye, but I won't let